Hello, pardon me as I straddle my picnic table. I am Devin, I go by Dev. It is lovely to have you here today. I'm so grateful for your presence. Thank you for joining me, and I'm tapping into the collective today, per usual. I am channeling messages based on some channeling I was doing earlier. I really have been feeling called, especially today, to channel messages based on how our vulnerability as a collective is breaking generational curses and cycles, which is a mouthful, which is powerful, and I'm excited to tap in. I am going to do a little bit of sound cleansing because I feel like it's needed, especially in the collective today. The energy is really strong, palpable, or the reverse rather. It's a mixed bag. I'm gonna do some sound healing. This won't take long. I have a singing bowl here that I am going to quickly do, and then I'm gonna delve right into the tarot. If you're not interested in sound healing, that's totally cool. You can skip ahead, and I will be doing messages based on the tarot as well as a few oracle cards, so stay tuned. With that car in the background, I'm getting the message that when we have tried to speak up as a collective, we may have had others try to speak over us, to block our voice from being heard, to silence us. But we will not be silenced. Not the collective. The collective cannot be silenced. And that's what we've discovered as a collective about our vulnerability, is that our strength and our power lies within that. Yeah, that was needed. I was also burning some incense. It's still going a little bit. I like to dip my hand in the bag just to see what comes out, because there's a few different ones in here, and the one that I picked was peppermint, and it says that reduces cortisol levels, the hormone your body releases when you're severely stressed. Which tells me that as a collective, our vulnerability, when we tap into that for the first time within ourselves, within our own energy, independently, individually, in solitude, we release a lot of stress and burden that we were carrying that wasn't necessarily ours. Some of it was most certainly ours, but a lot of it was our ancestors, right? Generations before us, that was passed on and perhaps projected onto us sometimes, in some cases, that we have carried with us into this lifetime, into different phases of our life. I'm hearing not this phase. Oh, hell no, not this phase. We are releasing that stress in ourselves first because we have courageously explored the depths of our vulnerability and taken these steps to explore what that means to us, what that means to our relationships, our choices. And I'm getting the sense that for others, the way our vulnerability reduces stress is that when others experience our vulnerability, when they are in the presence of hearing or understanding our vulnerability energetically, it is a catalyst for their own vulnerability. It is either a trigger or an inspiration, kind of the same thing, duality there, to explore the depths of their own vulnerability, or at least acknowledge that that vulnerability is there within them themselves. If they are still fearful of exploring that, there still is that acknowledgement, because we are authentically living in our own vulnerability. It automatically acts as an inspiration or a trigger. I'm going to delve into the tarot. I think that is quite enough channeling because holy cow, the energy's powerful today. I am going to use this deck. I think I used it in the last reading too. One of my favorites. I can't remember the name of it. It might be Tarot del Fuego, but I am going to have to probably botch that name, by the way. Probably going to have to look that up, but if I can find it, I will definitely link it in the description. Let's see what the collective. Yeah, cool beans. Okay, so how is the collective's vulnerability breaking generational cycles and curses? 2 more, please. How is the collective's vulnerability breaking generational cycles and curses? I'm hearing that Fleetwood Mac song. I think it's called The Chain. And if you don't love me now, you will never love me again. I can still hear you saying you would never break the chain. I think with that message, I heard 2 things. The first I'll interpret because that's what's still in my mind freshly. Some people, I'm hearing it's family members, some people thought you weren't going to break the chain. Some people did not expect you to, one I'm hearing, be the black sheep of the family, or just not repeat familial generational patterns. Well, you're the curse breaker, not the curse bringer. Those were generations past. As the curse breaker, you are proving to your family members, friends, whoever, that change is possible and change is happening, and curses are breakable if you can find a way to do it. And we have found a way to do it. It's called exploring our depths and being vulnerable. And tapping into that vulnerability, we realize, oh, there are things that we can change. There are things that we can accomplish with this change. We don't have to keep repeating these curses. We can break them and come out on the other side victorious. I think, hell yeah. So, holy cannoli. Alright, there's a lot here, which I'm excited for because this is a heavier topic. And I could go on a soapbox about this, but I am just going to do a little channeling. But still get in there, So 3 of Wands, coming out strong. I don't know if you can see this, but I hope that you can. I really hope that you can see it. 3 of Wands. Yeah, we're stepping into a revitalizing period because we had been in an energy as a collective, an energy of perhaps solitude for some, for others just like a rude awakening, perhaps even rock bottom, but just this heavier, dense energy of trudging through those depths once we realized they were there, and realizing I gotta unearth all this shit. I gotta work through burdens that aren't even mine, that were my ancestors. All right, let's get in. But now we're coming out on the other side. Once we took all that out and threw it off to the side, burned it, released it, exiled it, it's non-existent, I'm hearing. We have so much space now to fill that with. And we're filling it with love. We're filling it with joy. We're filling it with our patterns that we want to repeat. 3 of Wands is just having that extra energy. There's an apple here. Funny enough, I had an apple for breakfast. Silly side note. There's an apple here. We're bearing the fruits of our labor. We are on fire because we have decided to do the dirty work of our ancestors that either were in a position where they were too scared to do it, could not do it, or did not know that doing this kind of work was a possibility. And we're becoming way more grounded in this new energy that we're realizing we can cultivate for ourselves. Now that we've been vulnerable and explored those depths, we can begin to, I'm hearing for some, reinvent ourselves, for others, rediscover ourselves. And maybe it's a little bit of both too, but like these storms have passed. We have really put to bed and yanked out all the skeletons that were in the closet. We're like, hey, you back there, you're coming out. Oh, you too. You think I didn't see you, but I did. And all those skeletons are coming out now. And now the closet's empty. And we're like, okay, what can we put in here now? Not more skeletons. You know what? I think I want to put some new ideas in here. I want to put some new thought patterns in here. Maybe a new routine or two. Things like that. We are, as a collective, recognizing that I'm hearing a couple things. We no longer have to weigh our options of like, should I break these generational curses or should I just remain complacent? No, that's completely out the window. Like, we're in this to win it, like, and we did it alone. For a lot of us in the collective, we did it alone, and that's scary as shit, and it took a lot of courage and bravery, and a lot of us weren't acknowledged for the work that was done, but we acknowledge ourselves for that, and that is part of the vulnerability as well. It took a lot of honesty too, I'm hearing, not just with others but with ourselves. And now we're kind of starting fresh, is another message I'm getting. With the Six of Pentacles here, with the picture, I'm really hoping that it shows up in the camera. I'm hearing the sentiment, the cliche that, like, if you want a rose, you have to respect the thorns, right? We respected our thorns enough to acknowledge them, to sit with them, to, for some, befriend them, for others, work with them, work through them, so that we could stand authentically as ourselves, a rose, and bear our thorns for the lessons that they are, in a beautiful, metaphorical, and poetic way. I hope that makes sense. I'm sure some of you will get it. And I'm hearing for others, like, the finger is bleeding here because they cut themselves on a thorn. A lot of this shit that we are breaking generationally is not easy. It's painful. But the universe sees what we're doing as a collective. The universe sees you doing the work. They are acknowledging you for this. Judgment's a major arcana here. We are now receiving good karma for this as a collective. Our vulnerability is a guiding light in this universe, and we are, now that we have this space to fill with goodness rather than those generational curses, right? We are now telling the universe, hey, I'm ready to allow my blessings to flow into my life. And the universe says, all right, heard. Let's go. The Nine of Wands here is reversed. All those burdens are gone, baby. There's no more looking back at the past. We did that already. We figured it out. We learned the lessons, deciding not to repeat them, and we're creating new ones. The Lovers here, yeah, I'm getting the sense, with it being reversed here, that a lot of generational curses had to do with perhaps codependency, gender roles, internalized misogyny, I'm hearing for some, for others, what's the saying? Like, men don't cry, the stigmatization of mental health throughout generations, that as well. Some heavy shit. Let's just leave it there. The generational curses and cycles that we are breaking with our vulnerability have to do with those things, among many others, but just to name a few. And it required a great deal of patience with the Knight of Pentacles here. We had to be patient with ourselves. Others had to be patient with us. We had to be patient with others who weren't understanding the work we were doing because they haven't done it themselves, or perhaps we could not, or for some of us in the collective, could not articulate what we were experiencing, what we were working through, because it was so complex. Yeah, with the devil here too, a lot of generational habits and patterns were brought to the forefront of our lives, and we had to really do the work to recognize how we were fulfilling prophecies or repeating those patterns in our own lives, to really begin to want to create change as the magician here. After clearing all that old crap out, we're like, what do I want to create? I know what my ancestors created. Now that that's gone, what do I want to create? How can I honor my ancestors after breaking these generational curses by creating something new? Strength at the bottom of the deck here. Enough said. Enough said. Our vulnerability is strong, and that is why we were able to break those generational curses and cycles. Knight of Cups here. Now this abundance, these new ideas, these blessings are flowing into our lives. We are standing tall in our vulnerability and authenticity because we know the power it holds. All right, I am now going to pull a few oracle cards to gain some, maybe some advice or just a final message that feels less intense. I mean, this is some powerful energy right here, and I loved the messages in the tarot. I'm gonna pull one more, the Five of Wands here. Hopefully the camera can see, but it is a little squirrel dude with a crown. He's inside of a shelter of sticks, and the storm's coming down, but he's protected. He's all good. As a collective, we were divinely protected while we were breaking these generational curses and cycles because we had the courage to show our vulnerability, which is not something a lot of people can do or have the courage to face. And we were divinely protected because we were willing to go those lengths. And our ancestors were divinely protecting us as well because they saw what we were about to get done, and they were applauding us. They were cheering us on. They were making sure that nothing stood in our way to be able to get that work done because they knew we were going to be the ones to break those curses. Two of Cups at the bottom. Yep. Enough said. Balance is coming into our life. We are recognizing how we contribute to our own suffering and how we contribute to our own empowerment. I am going to pull some oracle cards from the Folktales Oracle by Hannah Willow, who is amazing, and I cannot hype her up enough. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful deck. I am excited to see what comes out. I'm just going to pull one. If more come out, cool. But I don't know if I'm going to shuffle or if I'm going to lay them out and then pick one. We'll see. If they shuffle, that's cool. Sometimes one does not pop out, but we'll see what happens. How is the collective's vulnerability breaking? Yes. Generational curses and cycles. Let's go. Yeah. Wow. Purify. We are purifying our ancestral timeline. Now that those curses are broken, there's a blank slate. It's clean. We can move forward and create magic. We can move forward and create healthy relationships, familial bonds, exploration. And with Journey here at the bottom with the bees, our hard work is paying off. Our what's the sentiment? The cliche one. The journey is more important than the destination. The work that we did exploring our vulnerability was where our purity was, because we were fully standing in our authenticity, our unconditional love, because that unconditional love was necessary, and a caveat to that courage, right? Because I feel like you can't go into that level of work without having some level of compassion for the self. Because otherwise, how would you make it out of those depths alive, right? Metaphorically. With wishes being at the bottom here, we are now able to grant the wishes of our ancestors for a better future, for better ideas, better patterns, better ways of living. And this transformation being here, we have transformed not only ourselves, but our ancestral timeline, our family, our relationships, our friendships, the healthy relationships we choose to have now. We've transformed our way of being, our way of living, and that impacts society in more ways than you know, collective. So I'm going to leave it here. This was a beautiful and powerful message. I look forward to channeling more messages like this. I really loved the topic of this reading today, and I hope to see you all again soon. Bye for now.